I think that's pretty cool.
Hey everybody, welcome to this pink cloud. Anyway, just kidding. Hey everybody, welcome to this pink cloud. I am DJ Kelly Reverb. We are a show that is all about recovery, multiple pathways to recovery, all kinds of mental health issues. And speaking of mental health, my good friend Chad at Le Mans is here, everybody. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing pretty fucking cool.
Hey, man.
Hell yeah.
We decided to all start with the sunglasses on.
Why don't you just give away the entire bit, dude?
Well, I will. I'll just
Why don't you just
step
give
on
away
it.
the... Wow, dude.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, she took hers off because you did that.
Well, anyway,
That's fucked
I'm
up.
lame, dude.
Yeah.
Lamosaurus Rex.
Mhm.
Anyway, excited to have this young lady in. I know it's a fascinating backstory. You happen to be married to a good friend of mine, a homie, I might say, one Andrew Blanchard, a.k.a. Falcone, which he is a house producer and DJ and good dude, all around good dude. But ladies and gentlemen, his better half, Mrs. Taylor Blanchard. How are you?
Well,
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming in. And we are all properly caffeinated
yes.
because of you.
Well, you know,
Well, we appreciate it.
gotta have caffeine to talk. You know.
Exactly. You have to have caffeine to survive this cruel world.
Very much so. Thank you all for having me on. And I love podcasts. This is very cool.
All right. Well, we're excited because, I know that you had, a foray into reality TV and then just all kinds of craziness in your backstory. So why don't you just tell the folks what went on in the backstory of said Taylor?
Well, I am Taylor. I am an alcoholic, drug addict, anorexic
Hey, Taylor.
with daddy issues.
Hey, Taylor with daddy issues. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
So I guess a little bit about how it was. I think honestly, even before I was exposed to substances, I knew there was something so special and so different about me. I think in the program they'll call it terminal uniqueness. You know?
Yes, of course.
And so, my biological father left at a very, very early age, and my mom did her best, and she met my stepfather when I was pretty young, I think around 5, honestly. And they're still married. That is the person I consider to be my father. But I'm an only child. When my mom remarried, I think that life kind of got better for her, she had a partner, she had someone who was financially helping her. She had a good career as well. I never went without. I guess looking back, I would have definitely considered us upper middle class,
Right.
In a small little town.
No true hardships to speak of.
No, it didn't look like it on the outside,
Right.
And I don't think that I was able to ever compare myself to others in a way that I could tell if I was different or if I had something else, because everyone just always saw the sparkles and the
Well,
glitter.
it kind of seems like that small town mentality to where everybody presents well.
Yes.
Everything is A-okay.
Everything's just peachy over here.
Everything's
good. It's
I think it's pretty cool.
everything's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. But I remember always just that feeling inside, I was popular. I was friends with everybody. I was thinking about this last night when I was falling asleep. I was I really I know I didn't know any strangers. Like I wanted to be friends with everybody.
Right.
I did well in school. But like, again, there was like something inside of me that like felt wrong. And I remember even at 9 years old, like my mom always encouraged me to keep a journal. And I'm grateful for that because I still like am very passionate about writing today. And I remember writing in a journal, like I had already become so fascinated with like drug use on movies and TV. And I wrote, one day I'm going to do drugs and it's going to fix me.
Okay.
9 years old.
Wow.
That's
Now, was anybody looking at your journal or
No.
viewing that? Okay, it was just your own like personal diary.
Yeah, I kept one that like, cause I know my mom was gonna look at it.
Oh,
and
you
then,
kept the
I
dummy one?
Yeah, and then I had like my like
the real one.
really dark, crazy, like
Right.
looking back, like undiagnosed mental illness.
Oh,
you know?
wow.
So, you know, I think it was like high school.
Well, that's right. Hold on. I gotta point that out. That at 9 years old, that's pretty perceptive to have the dummy journal or the dummy diary. That's I mean, that's like you know.
I was always living two lives.
Right. Yeah.
And like, and that's kind of like how it started for me. And I just like, it was like everyone else got the manual. And even though like I looked like I got the manual and everyone thought I had the manual, inside I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just
Right.
showing up and doing my best. And other people seemed to like it, but inside I just felt like I was dead. Like I had nothing. And then, you know, I remember like, you know, like the first time like I went to go experiment with alcohol, like with friends, it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna have a drink. It was, I'm gonna get fucked up. You know, it wasn't like, that's not normally how people think.
Right.
I've learned.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's normally like, oh, let's try this. Maybe let's have a beer or let's have a wine. No, let's have a wine cooler.
I want to black out
Right.
and not feel anything.
Right. Yeah.
And then, you know, I remember like every little thing that I tried after that, it was like, this is how I'm supposed to feel. Oh my
Right.
God, I get it now.
Right.
You know, this is my manual that I'd been missing out on.
Right.
And so, you know, it was like that with everything I tried. But what was interesting is nobody knew. You know, even like my friends, like, you know, I was like, I'm the designated driver because, you know, my mom would never allow for me to be the one drinking at a party in the middle of nowhere. But I still would, and I would convince others that I hadn't been drinking, that I hadn't been doing drugs because I was ashamed of it, I'm sure, you know, looking back. And I just didn't want anyone to know. And I never wanted anyone to know how bad it really was.
Right.
And so, like, it just kind of was always like that. And then I remember my very first, like, time doing Adderall, like, that changed everything for me.
Okay. Were you prescribed Adderall or did you just hear about
Very
it?
soon after, yes.
Oh, yeah, right. After I found out I loved it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was weird because it was like normally like people at school, like I would be like, yeah, I'm getting this for so and so, like, because I didn't want anyone to know that I was ever like doing drugs or drinking or anything. And
Sure.
I remember it was like a friend, and he came up to me. He's like, hey, you should try this. And I didn't say like, oh, okay, well, I'll give it to so and so.
Right.
I was like, all right, cool. Took 3 like
Right.
30 milligram Adderall.
Right.
My first time.
Wow.
And I just
Jesus
remember
Christ.
like just like profusely like sweating.
I know, and she's like 100 pounds, like soaking wet, dude.
the fuck?
like in class, like
Right.
this is the greatest day of my life.
Fucking seizing.
Yeah. And so that like I can just remember like my brain chemistry in that moment like had changed.
Right.
And it was like the next day I'm at like our local like primary care doctor, and I'm like, I think I have ADHD. I accidentally took some of my friend's medication, and oh my God, wouldn't you know it, I'm doing better in school in
It
one
really
day.
dialed
like,
me in. Yeah. Right.
And he's just like, okay.
Yeah. Right. Sure.
Yeah. And it was always kind of like that for me because like nobody ever expected, you know, little old Taylor to be doing anything bad.
Right, because she presented so well.
Yeah, straight A
Right.
student.
Yeah.
You know, so I remember, so it was like, I want to say it was around my sophomore year that I was in broadcast journalism.
Okay.
And we had a very pretty like high end like program at our school because we had like a retired police officer that was like his passion in life, and so he made sure that like we had like the best like broadcast journalism program. And it was really fun and stuff. And then I remember our teacher, she saw like this thing on MTV's website that they were doing a casting call for a follow-up of a TV show that MTV very, very shortly did that was called The Paper.
Okay.
And it was like a reality TV show about kids doing journalism, like paper journalism in school. And I was like, well,
Sounds like me.
we're doing broadcast. We've got all this technology. I'm going to make a casting tape. So me, methed out of my mind.
Yeah. Oh, were you already?
Adderall, the prescription meth.
Right. Yeah.
I like start making this really, what I'm sure if I could find it, I would look back and just cringe. But, like me acting all cool and like me being in the principal's office and being like, you need to come out and film us and this, and wouldn't you know, they did.
Right.
They came out at first with one camera and then another camera and a director and a producer. And then like this like thing kind of like came together. And there was this girl that was, I think she's 1 year older than me. And I thought she was the coolest person ever. Because like me, I had to conform to this like preppy, like goody good look. And she was edgy and she had red hair and wore like just really cool, edgy clothes. And I was just like, I would kill to be able to express myself like that. Like, I don't even have an identity. I just am going through life.
Right.
And so the producers thought it was interesting, like how her and I interacted, because we just look completely different, completely different backgrounds.
Right.
And so they kind of started focusing on that. And they're like, there's something interesting here. And so kind of like evolved into the show, and it was really cute little coming of age, teenage drama, like nerdy girl with the nerdy guys, doesn't fit in with the popular girls, and Taylor decides that maybe she's not really a popular girl, and these two girls go off and conquer the world, it's this cute little show. And I honestly, I think like while I was doing it, like I didn't really think anything about it. It was just like something to do. And, I enjoyed doing it, like enjoyed filming, enjoyed always having something to do. Cause I was that person that I did dance, cheerleading, violin, pageants, all of it, you know? I think that was part of my mom's philosophy is like, if we can just keep her really busy, like
keep her occupied.
Yeah. Maybe she won't fuck up.
Right.
And so during that time, I started to like really think about too, like how I still felt weird. And I went out because I always wanted to get a job, and my parents were just like, you have like too much going on to like have a job.
Right.
And I was just like,
we've got too much money for you to have a job.
I don't even think it was that.
Right.
Like, I think it was like, it was more so just like maybe the fear of them kind of letting me go.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
And they were right about that because, as a 17-year-old girl, like I didn't want to go get a job just doing anything. I wanted to go to a bar, and I wanted to be a cocktail waitress.
All right. I like the aspirations, kid.
So I went to a place in Fort Worth, which is about like 30 minutes from where I was living. And I'll keep the name under wraps because I lied about my age and they didn't check my ID or anything, and it's tipped. So, things are a little different now.
Yeah.
They're a little bit more strenuous about like background checks.
Sure.
And maybe like putting you on payroll. But I got the job. When I like went home, I just told my parents, I was like, I got a job. I'm going to be a waitress at a restaurant.
Right. Yeah. Leave out the bar part.
And they're just like, oh, where? And I was like, in Fort Worth. And then, finally I like tell them, and they're just like, oh, okay. Like, I think I know that place. And it was just like a sports bar. And they were just like, well, you know, like you have to keep your grades up. You still have to film. You still have to do this. This.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I got it.
I'm on enough Adderall. I got this,
I can
man.
do it all. I can do it all. And then so that place like allowed me to try cocaine.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, and it was like the first time like I felt like some like freedom in my life, because I was like, oh, I get to drive my car away from home.
Oh, yeah.
Stay up really late and serve alcohol while I drink alcohol, and nobody knows who I am. You know, like it just felt good.
Yeah.
And you know, and then so
it was that feeling of independence.
yeah, like I'm a big girl.
Yeah.
I got this.
Right.
I'm 17 years old.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm waitressing. This is a dream come true.
And I'm going to do this for the rest of my life.
And I'm still doing it. And I
Right.
still love it.
Right,
you know?
right.
And so there was like, I think I was there for a couple months, and there was like a big fight night. And, you know, I mean, I actually it was unbelievable the amount of money that I was making. And I didn't tell my parents how much money I was making either, because like I didn't know if that was like normal. And
Yeah.
like, I would make like $500 to $1,000 a night as
Sure.
a teenager.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of was like, yeah, I made $100. And they'd be like, wow, that's really good. I'm
Right.
like, yeah. Because I was spending the money on things too that I didn't want them to know about.
Right.
And so it was a couple months in. I had to park in a different parking garage because it was so busy down there.
Mm-hmm.
And the week before, I had actually gotten in a car wreck. And so my truck was in the shop, and I was in like a rental.
Mm-hmm.
And so the managers were always really good about making sure that we got walked to the car. And so it was like the manager walked us 3 ladies to the parking garage in which we parked, and then we all kind of like got off on our own floors, and I was at the top. And so I got off by myself. I got in the car, and, you know, I had to do I got to rinse my mouth out. I got to check my nose.
Right. Yeah. The mirror check and yeah.
Because I never knew, like, when they were going to check me if I came home at 3 a.m. and they're going to be like, let me smell your breath. And I just like reek of cigarettes and booze.
Right,
and
yeah.
ether, you know.
Sure, yeah.
And so I did all that, and then when I look up, there's like a car like behind me, and I'm like, go. You're like, you're good. Like, go ahead. And so like he like reversed, so I could back up and go down, and I didn't think anything about it.
Right.
And I was just like, oh, that's nice. So
that was nice. Or he could have just kept driving.
right.
Right.
So I'm driving home. I'm not like. I don't want to say like I was naive. Like I feel like I already had like some weird street smarts that like came about me, and I don't know why I had them. But my parents lived in a gated community, and I remember pulling up to the gate like when I got home, you know, 30 minutes away from where I worked, and there's a car behind me, and I was just like, oh well, whatever. You know?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, and so I saw the car, so I would go through the gate. And I saw him like kind of do a U-turn like in the first little cul-de-sac. And I was just like, drunk idiot, you know?
Right.
So I pull into our driveway. I don't have the garage door opener because I'm not in my car. So I have the keys, and I'm going to go up to the door. And like, I'm sitting there, and I like crack the door, and I'm like, all the lights are off, so I'm like, I can smoke another cigarette, you know?
Right.
So like I get a cigarette in my mouth, and then like I had this weird feeling, and so I was like, I'm just gonna hold my taser, whatever. Just,
Yeah.
the ghost comes and gets. I'm paranoid at this point, just because not eating, doing drugs, and so like I stand up, and I'm immediately grabbed from behind, and like I've worked through this in therapy for years because I suppressed it for so long, but I remember my response wasn't panic. Wasn't fear, wasn't anger. I started laughing. And, you know, I have this person that is like choking me from behind, and all I can do is laugh.
Right.
Like, that's some crazy
Yeah.
shit.
I wonder what was going through his mind. He was like, what did I just do?
He's like, fuck this, dude.
He's like, I think I fucked with the wrong one.
Right.
And so, you know, and then like I'm starting to realize like, oh my God, wait, this is really happening. Like, this is real life.
This is not like a friend of mine playing a joke on me. Yeah.
It's like 3:00 in the
Yeah,
morning
this
in
is
Burleson, Texas.
Right.
And so I just like, you know, like was rattled. And then I remember being like face to face with this guy, and we start like fighting. And I'm just like, I've never seen this person in my life.
Right.
And I think that what really messed me up is it was like a younger, attractive looking like guy.
Uh-huh.
Like didn't look weird.
Yeah.
And so like we kind of were like fighting and wrestling, and I'm like, I'm not like giving my full effort into the fight because I'm still like, what is happening?
In disbelief, right.
And then so at some point, like I fall to the ground on my back, and I'm like looking up, and he's just like, hi, I'm so-and-so, like...
He's introducing himself after he just went to strangle you.
Yes. And,
okay.
And I'm just like, okay. And, like, for some reason, I'm like, I don't want to hurt the guy. Like, and I know that...
He shakes your
like,
head. Have you heard of our Lord and Savior Jesus?
No.
You have a moment.
He
You
went
have a
there.
moment to talk
He
about our
goes-
Lord and Savior.
He's like, I'm going to kill you how they killed me. He's like, but I won't hurt you, though. And then I'm going to
Okay.
take you. And I was just like, all right. Like, I seriously was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm done.
Right. What are you doing with the taser at this time?
Oh, all that shit fell off of me the
Okay.
second I got, like,
I gotcha.
jumped from behind.
Sure.
And so I'm just like, okay. And so he helps me up.
Okay. Weird.
Still, this is the weirdest assault.
Right.
You know, like-
Yes.
And then so I'm like thinking. I don't have my keys. You know, I've dropped everything.
Right.
So there's like a big window that like goes into the living room. I'm like, I'm just gonna run as fast and hard as I can. I'm gonna break through that window, and then that'll wake my parents up. And I run and run and run, and like when I get to it, he grabs me underneath my legs, and my chin hits the brick ledge and like knocks me unconscious. And then like come to, and like, it was bad, you know. And I finally remember, like, this is kind of, I never had a concept of God. I never had a belief in a higher power. And for some moment, like, towards the end, I'll spare some details, like, I'm running out of breath. And I remember I'm laying on the ground. And I remember, like, looking up and seeing myself and looking down and seeing myself and just thinking, okay, God, I'm ready to die. Just take me. And then I don't remember anything.
Wow.
And, you know, like my parents, I guess, heard something during this time. We heard the car drive off, and I heard my dad yell, he's got her in the car. And I'm like, am I in the car? Like,
Right.
like, and they ended up having to like rush me to the hospital, and then they had to care flight me to another hospital.
Oh, wow.
I was pronounced dead on arrival.
Oh, holy crap.
It, you know, and I didn't, like, I remember, like, looking at my mom and her fainting. So I was just thinking, I probably shouldn't look in the mirror.
Right.
And,
What kind of injuries did you sustain to have death occur?
fractured my optical ear socket, had internal bleeding, 5 broken ribs, and a fracture in my spine.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
So then you went to some quiet place while this guy was
Just,
beating you senseless
Yes.
or something like that. Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And, but, like, they never caught the guy, so it's
Wow.
still...
And
open.
was there any kind of cameras, neighborhood cameras, or?
They think it was premeditated because the cameras on our house weren't recording that night, and the little street lights had been shot out with like a BB gun or something.
Oh, okay.
So it like that huge event really shaped the next few years.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm filming a TV show.
Right. Well, hold on. I want to talk about. So you get to the hospital and you're pronounced dead. So was there an NDE that occurred, like any kind of near death experience?
That was when I was like laying there looking up and like looking down, and I had that like warm
It was
feeling.
that out of body experience. Okay.
And then like I remember waking up, and then I just had all these people around me, and then I was like in and out of consciousness, and I truly have this like theory that like I don't think I would have lived that night if I wouldn't have been high,
Okay.
because I don't think I would have had any energy.
Right.
And
Shout out to cocaine.
Shout out to cocaine.
Yeah. Right.
saving my life.
Right.
And you know, then like cops would come in and they would like take my bracelet or my ring for evidence.
Oh yeah.
you know?
Maybe DNA or something like that.
And I'm just
right?
like, okay.
Yeah, right.
And then like lose consciousness and then like wake up. And then I remember like waking up in the ICU, and my dad was eating a cheeseburger.
Okay.
And I don't think I had ate in like 4 days.
Right.
So I was just like, and I wasn't allowed to eat because of the internal bleeding.
Oh,
all
yeah.
this protocol.
Uh-huh.
And so he walks out to talk with the nurse, and I just reach over and I grab the whole cheeseburger. And they're like, no, you can't do that. I'm
Right.
like, I'm so hungry.
Right.
But I talk lightly about that story now just because I really did, like, after that happened, you know, I was like, the show must go on.
Sure.
And
Well, and how, so what year was this, or how old were you when this happened?
2009.
Okay.
I was I was like right about to be 18 years old.
Okay. All right.
And then, so, you know, my mom, of course, she's like, you're never leaving the house.
Yeah.
You can't go to college. You have to stay here, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Like-
Goes into protective mama mode. Yeah.
I think there's still, honestly, like, a lot about that still haunts them.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know,
I mean, because, that it happened right in front of their house. And
Right.
that's just, yeah.
And as a woman, too, like, you know, we think, like, these things, like, don't happen, you know, or, like, we hear about them on the news.
Right. Or that wouldn't happen to me.
Yeah, that would never happen to me.
Right.
And, you know, it just was one of those things, too. So, like, after it happened, we all just kind of, like,
Yeah.
like-
Yeah. We don't talk about it.
yeah, your
Right,
face is
yeah.
fixed. Everything else is fine.
Yeah.
And I did convince my mom that I'm going to go off to New York and I'm going to college. Like,
Okay.
and it was mainly not so I could go get an education, and so I could just finish up my life.
Right. Yeah. Or run away from what was happening.
Because that's what I told her. I was like, if it can happen in our home in a gated community, it's gonna happen anywhere and everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm not gonna live my life hiding and scared.
Right.
And I didn't get any therapy. I didn't get to talk to anybody about it.
Okay.
So it just didn't happen.
Right. Just put a Band-Aid over that one and just move on.
Yeah.
Right.
And then so I get out to New York, and it was like I finally can experiment with how I dress. You know, like I like all this like weird freedom, like, you know, like
Right.
positive young girl freedom too. That was exciting. But then, you know, I discovered like, oh well, I don't have to like do a breath check when I get home or anything. Like I can just be fucked up all the time.
Right.
And I was still managing to make really good grades.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sleeping. I was just like drinking and using, and then
At this point, it was what, the alcohol, Adderall, cocaine. Okay.
and then and like in a bender, I had during this time I had like secured management and like an agent, and I had finished up
Right,
the
that's okay.
second season of the TV show, and I was like I'm done here.
Right.
I'm done here. And so I was like, I'm gonna go out to LA.
Mm-hmm.
So I like call my agent. I think it's like 3 a.m. and I'm like, I need to get out there. Like, help me.
Right.
You know. And so I literally, you know, my parents just come up, pack me up, move me out to LA.
Okay.
And that's where things got really, really bad.
Oh, okay.
I like started doing like film school. Like I went to college in New York, and then transferred into film school in New York, and then transferred to film school in LA.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to pause you right there because I want to get the LA, because the LA chapter is going to be fantastic. I can already tell. So real quick, let's go to a commercial. Max the Axe, our good friend who is a personal injury attorney. If you go to thispinklawyer.com, it will route you to Lone Star Injury Attorneys. He is a fantastic dude and a fantastic lawyer, and he will get you maximum results for... Are you standing up now,
Fuck
Chad?
yeah, I'm standing up. This chair is killing my back, dude.
All right. Doctor said I need to back you out of
Yeah,
me.
we need goddamn chiropractor
Right?
to advertise on this show.
Exactly. We do, don't we? And then also coming up, there is the Big Texas Rally for Recovery, which is happening September 9th, and that is from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., and that's at 3107 South Boulevard in Dallas. And if you go to, if you just Google Big Texas Rally for Recovery, something will come up. And we're actually going, or I'm actually going to be emceeing, but I'm going to have Chad as a speaker there. And Chad would like to talk on the Big Texas Rally for Recovery.
If you are looking for a recovery event that is bigger, because everything they say is bigger in Texas, then this is a recovery event for you. You can have the best time ever. I will be there in one of my 17,238 personalities, and it will be the best recovery, not just recovery, but recovery thing ever.
I like that covery is a word. Hey, man, I'm in covery, dude.
Hey, dude, I ain't
man,
in
are you in-
recovery.
are
This is
you
my
in-
first time. This is covery.
Are
dude.
you in covery, bro?
I'm cool.
Anyway, and then also we have our new EP that is out, and this is actually a song that is off of it, streaming on Spotify and available on the Beatport and Apple Music and all that stuff.
Here it is.
Hey, everybody, we're back.
Hey, hell yeah.
That song was really cool.
Hell yeah.
Hey, man, that song was pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
I think it's a bigger sound.
Pretty cool.
It's like the rhythm is pretty killer.
You did a good job.
Hey, take a job. Pretty cool.
Did a good job.
It's a bigger sound. It's
There we go.
a bigger job and a bigger sound.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I think that sounds pretty cool.
All right. Well, so anyway, so as we were saying, you had just made or in the process of making the move from New York to LA. So,
I
see
wish I could
action.
say it was like exciting and cool. It was just
Right.
literally like, I mean, I think I was 19 at this move. Like, you know, I was like, I'm already done with New York.
Right.
I've already seen it all, you know? And so I get out there and I just, you know, I'm still doing school, still doing good in school, even though it is film school, you know, like one of my classes is Tai Chi. You know, like
one of my classes is pickleball.
he's like, pick up the sweater, put
Right.
down the sweater.
Oh,
Pet
nice.
the swan.
Right.
Like, so, you know, I just partied. Like, I really, like, and I wish I had, like, a better memory and, like, could, like, really dig into some details of shit that I did there. But I just, like, was blacking out all the time.
Wow.
And then...
So nobody, like, I mean, you didn't have any kind of support unit around there going, hey, Taylor, you know you blacked out and you might want to dial it back a little bit, or...
Hey, Taylor, I think you're pretty cool, but you need to stop drinking
Right,
and drugs.
exactly.
Stop that.
Exactly.
My attorney, who was kind of like...
Your attorney. My attorney, who's my best friend.
He's my bestie.
All right.
You know, his drug use was worse than mine.
Oh,
So,
sweet.
you know,
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
That checks the fuck out.
Yeah. So, you know, it was like, and again, what's really messed up is like, I know I didn't have it together, but everybody else thought I did.
Right.
And that's like really the terrifying part of all of it.
Right.
And then it wasn't until like I did something and then my manager was like, you're a liability.
Ah, so the management finally said something.
And I'm
huh?
like, I don't know what you mean.
Right.
And she's like, look, honey, I've been in
presenting so
recovery
well."
for 15 years.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I don't know what recovery is. I'm sorry.
Right.
Cavalry.
And so she takes me to rehab.
Okay.
And I'm like, what is this place?
Right.
This is stupid.
Uh-huh.
And it's not like hotel rehab. It is like hood, like scary, like rehab,
Right.
you know?
Like government funded. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And so, you know, I'm doing the intake and stuff, and this guy like with like this like slick back hair and all these tattoos is like asking me questions about my drug use, and I'm like, I'm not sure how much to tell him, like, because like when are the police gonna show up, you know?
Right,
like,
yeah.
I'm terrified.
Is this guy a narc?
Yeah.
Right.
Right, like, and I'd never gotten therapy, you know,
yeah.
so like this is like the first setting in which I guess like someone's trying to help me, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not that bad. Just
Sure.
do cocaine, you know, once a day. Like,
Right.
it's to wake me up.
And it's
I do cocaine
period.
one time for 19 years.
I do cocaine one time a day for 8 hours.
Basically, yeah.
Right.
And
Until the people from the blinds start coming inside, and then I stop.
that's what duct tape is for.
There you go, dude. And tinfoil, right?
Tinfoil definitely helps.
Right. Yeah.
And so, you know, I go through with the program, and I remember too, I'm thinking like, oh shit, I have to call my mom. Like, and she doesn't know anything.
Right.
You know, and so I call her and I'm like, hey, I'm just letting you know I'm probably going to be off the grid. I'm getting intensive therapy for what happened to me. And she
Oh, so you even lied to her about that? You didn't even go, oh, by the way, I have a cocaine problem.
well, so that was like
Right.
that was the lie for the first week, right? And then the second week was, I might have a bit of a drinking problem. And she's like, I could see that.
Right.
You know, and then by like the end of that week, I was like, I'm severely addicted to cocaine and amphetamines. And she was like, that's a lie.
Right.
You know, like, because she's like, how, why, when, you know, like,
Right.
just can't even believe it. And I was just like, yeah, it's stressing me out to talk about this. Like, I can't talk about it.
Right.
But my favorite thing is like, this is the first time that I've ever even been in like a group therapy setting too. And I remember people be like, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm an alcoholic. And it would come to me, and I'd be like, I'm Taylor. I'm here to learn how to drink like a normal person. And everyone would be like, what?
Right.
And I'm like, no, yeah, like, I'm not one of you.
I mean, yeah, I'm here to dial it back.
I'm a kid. I'm
Right.
not even 21.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
It's a phase, Mom. You know,
Sure.
like, and, but like, I would hear their stories, and I'd be like, that's not that bad.
Right. Right.
You know, like, and then I also learned like some tips and tricks on how to make things last better or whatnot. And you know, like it.
Oh, it's funny. Like once you go into rehab, yeah, it's like going to jail. It's like you learn how to become a criminal.
Yeah, you learn.
Yeah.
You definitely
Right.
you learn the system. So I did stay sober for 3 months. And then, you know, I was like, okay, well, I need to go on a date or something, you know, like I'm cured. And so I went on a date with like a normal, like respectable person, and he ordered a bottle of wine, and I was like, well, I can't be rude. And I don't want to be weird, and I don't want to have to explain myself. So I was like, I'll just like sip on a glass like the whole dinner. I woke up 2 days later, an intravenous drug user.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Well, so how did that? So you just blacked out, and then somehow it went to heroin.
Yeah, well,
And was your date still with you?
no, it
Okay.
had nothing to do with him.
Oh,
It
right.
was like
He would probably go, okay, have a good night.
yeah, and then I'm like, and Dope Man's house.
wow.
You know,
Had you heard about like heroin or like what? I mean, because like I would be like, where do
So
I
it
go?
wasn't-
How do I do it? What, you know?
I was like melting down like crack.
Mm.
And
Hey, hold on.
Shut up.
Yeah, man. That's how you fucking do it.
Yeah.
A little bit of citric acid, man. I'm not going to teach anybody how to do it. but-
Yeah, don't we're not here to learn
Right.
things. And I was like so shocked. I had all these needles because I was doing like lipotropic injections, you know, because 100 pounds is too heavy. I needed to be like 92, you know.
Well,
So,
of course.
you know, I had always struggled with, you know,
Oh, body, yeah.
body image issues, and that's the drugs that I choose to do too.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, I already have needles.
Right.
Easy.
Let's do this.
Let's play doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm so glad that God invented Google, you know.
Right.
Like, so things got like real bad.
Right.
And then I just started scaring myself.
Okay.
And then I remember like doing the, you know what, fuck this. I want to go home. I want to go back to Texas. That's going to fix me.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, at this point I had probably like landed in detox like a couple times just because I scared myself. And it wasn't to get clean. It was just to lighten it up a bit.
Yeah, it was just to dial it back.
Yes.
Right.
And so I ended up, you know, moving back to Texas. My parents helped me get an apartment because like I couldn't keep a job. I couldn't, you know, I was and they were still in denial about like our daughter is a drug addict and an alcoholic. And I was like, they got me this apartment. They're like, we'll pay for the first 6 months, and then, you know, we'll want you to take over it after that. And I was like, okay, well, my budget is like $12, you know, like I don't know what I'm going to be able to afford. And so I kind of got like talked into this like really nice apartment. And I'm like grateful that, you know, my parents like wanted to do that for me, but I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to afford this. Like I have no skills, you know, I'm just good at lying. Like that's it. And so I moved. I was just miserable and sad. And then I was going to LA like every other weekend, just to party and see my, I guess, boyfriend, if you could use that term. And there was one night I was there. This was my last hurrah, and I woke up in a hospital, like an hour away from where I started. And I was wearing a dress and someone else's shoes. And I'm like, I look at my purse, because my purse is still draped around me. I'm like, oh, that's nifty. And
That's handy.
there's nothing in the purse, just a bunch of empty baggies and a lip gloss. I'm like, oh my God, I don't have an ID. I don't have anything. And then I'm like, kind of like panicking too, because I'm like, oh my God, like I'm like plugged in, like what's going on? And the nurse is like, oh good, you're awake. I'll get the social worker. And I'm like, oh my God, like what have I done?
By the way, Chad has woken up in a dress many a time.
They're comfortable.
Yeah, man, for sure, dude. I was about to say earlier, you mentioned like pageants. Like Kelly, I mean, that was his first showbiz gig.
That was, I mean, I was a pageant girl. I was like Honey Boo Boo,
Yeah,
exactly.
I think you-
Little Miss Texas.
Little Miss Kelly, Little Miss Kelly Doo-Doo.
Right?
Kelly Doo-Doo.
Kelly Doo-Doo.
And so he comes in, he's like, are you a hazard to yourself? Well, first he tells me what I did, because I'm like, hello, like, what did I do? He's like, well, the firefighters were called on you because you jumped out a window. And I was like, I'm sorry.
Whoa, hold on.
Like,
What?
I'm like, I don't feel like I jumped out a window.
Okay, so like when you were blacking out and all that stuff, I mean, I know blacking out means, but did you ever remember any of it at all? Or was it just like, I had this drink and then boom, it was gone? Or did you remember any of it, any of the escalation?
Over time, bits and pieces come back, you know, or sometimes, like, depending on how much anxiety you wake up with, you're like, okay, think.
Right. What happened?
Or like someone will tell you something and then it like sparks something.
Yeah.
But this like whole thing, I'm like, I have no recollection of this. Like he could be lying still to this day.
Sure.
I have no idea.
But at some point you were apparently going to jump off a ledge.
I did.
Okay.
I broke into someone's apartment while they're in there, and they're just like, hey, ma'am, like, you can't be in here. And I go in their closet, and I'm just putting on stuff, and
Okay.
I, like, see I guess, like, their window, like, they're only up on the second floor. It wasn't, like, a big deal.
Yeah.
And I just, like, bloop, like, out the balcony.
I'll take the fast route, please.
Like, like over the railing and then just in a bush.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't believe it. I wasn't there. It didn't happen.
I would have, man, if I was a homeowner, dude, I would have been like, what the fuck just
Your
happened,
door
man?
is not fit for a queen like me.
It's LA. They're like, I don't want to touch you.
Right.
Like, you just free will it yourself over
Yeah.
the side of the balcony.
Oh my god.
What a fucking man! What an event that would have been, dude. I bet they're doing therapy right now.
Right, exactly.
So I remember, like, and then the guy's like, do you consider yourself a danger to yourself and to others? And I was like, no. Like, I'm like, I don't really, like,
Right.
obviously. And then I'm like, can I please just call my mom? And he's like, okay. And so he gives me the phone, and I call my mom, and she is screaming because someone else has my phone and is like pretending to be me. And like she's like knows better. So kind of fast forward through this situation. I get my phone, I get my ID back, I get on a plane, and I remember I'm just sitting at LAX, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. You know, I was like, and it wasn't like I can't drink anymore or use drugs anymore. It was like, I have no other option. So it was like, I'm going to go ahead and figure out how to tie all my loose ends. And so...
How old are you at this point?
21.
Okay. All right. So you had a good 2 years, right?
Really good run there.
Yeah.
And so I detoxed on my mom's sofa.
Uh-huh.
And, and of course she doesn't understand.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like,
Oh, you're sick. Let me get you some soup.
she's just like,
Mom, I'm pretty cool. I just want to go into recovery.
Hey, we'll get you an apple.
I need to get you an apple. That would be something she would say. She's very Southern.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
You need an apple?
That's what Kelly says.
You look thirsty.
Don't be scared.
Oh, honey, you just need to drink like a lady.
Drink like a lady.
Yeah.
I love that.
Or she would tell me, this would be her advice. You just drink club soda with a lime, and then nobody knows that you're not drinking. I'm like, yeah, but I know I'm not
Right, I know.
drinking.
Yeah.
And so, she's just like, this is like, pathetic. Like, you're just tired. And I'm like,
Right.
if you only knew. And I just
Right.
never felt comfortable explaining the details of what I'd done to myself. And so I go back to my apartment after a couple days, and I'm writing my letters, my goodbye letters, and I only have 2 to write.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I don't even have enough people to carry my coffin, and that really fucked me up.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm sitting there, like, just sweating, sober, gross, emotional, and like I already had my plan. I was like, and then I had a text from a club owner, and was like, hey, and I'm like, hi, because it was like, no, like somebody wanted me around, like
Right.
somebody. I was like, oh my god, what? Like, hi, yeah. And he's like, hey, can you come in and help work tonight? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll be there, and I was just, it wasn't like, it was just like one of those things, like I just felt so alone and so isolated that I couldn't believe that, like, even this person was like, we need you to come here and help sell booze. Like, I was just like,
Right.
oh, I'm needed,
Yeah, right.
And so I get dressed up and I head down. It was like I was living at the Lofts at West 7th, so I was really close to downtown Fort Worth, where the club was. And I go in, and it's like, it's super early, so it's dead. And I see a DJ DJing, and I'm like, he's like, why does he look so happy? And I just was like, kind of like watching him. And I went up to him and I was like, hey, like, can I buy you a drink? And he was like, I don't drink. Like,
Right.
And I was like, okay, why? And he's like, well, I haven't drank in like a year. And, like, I was kind of like, oh, like, you're one of them covery people.
Covery.
You're one of them covery motherfuckers.
You're in covery.
And then he's like, yeah, I just had a year, he's like, what, and I'm like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic too. And it was like the first time I
Right.
said it and like believed it,
Mm-hmm.
but I lied about my time
Right.
because I felt so insecure and
Ah.
shitty. And he's like, how long do you have? I was like, oh, like 3 months,
Right.
or like 4 days.
Right.
And I remember, like, I gave him my number, and I just, like, I didn't work that night. I just, like, walked around the club and just kind of, like, looked at him and I was like, he's really, like, not drinking or, like,
Right.
he's supposed to have the best drugs in here,
Sure.
Like, and I'm just kind of, like, amused.
Right.
And he had, like, this light around him, and he just looked so free.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back up to him and I was like, you're not going to call me, are you? And he was like, no, I don't do club chicks. And I was like, like a simple no would have been okay. Like when he tells the story, he says it really sweet. He's like, I was just trying to play it cool because I didn't know why this pretty girl was talking to me. And
Right.
granted, he was trying to change his life and he did not want anybody like me. in it.
Yeah,
And I can
of course.
guarantee that.
Yeah.
And, but
He's like, how safe are you around second story ledges?
Right.
not very. And so it was like I just was like, I have to know more about this person. And then, so just the preoccupation, like being preoccupied in my mind with this person. I didn't sleep all night, and I didn't drink, I didn't use, and I didn't kill myself.
Well, hey, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
And he ended up calling me the next day.
Did he?
Yeah.
Trying to play it cool.
And he took me to lunch, and we like got to know each other. And all I'm thinking in the back of my mind is like, he is too good for me. Like I'm a disaster. Like you don't want any of this. But he just really liked me, and he was very, very, very sweet to me. Always very kind and patient. But really, like my work hadn't even started. Like getting sober only made things worse for me. And
Well, I mean, what happens when you're sober is you have to actually deal with all the baggage. Yeah.
And
Hold on, can you do that one more
Yeah,
time?
do that again.
There you
right?
go.
Yeah.
And like I hadn't even seen my baggage. I don't know where it is.
Right.
It's probably in a second-story apartment somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably lost in some Southwest Airlines hangover.
Probably. And but he like didn't seem to mind, and he saw something in me that I don't think anybody ever did.
Okay.
And he always like pushed me to be better, and it was someone that like struggled with like higher power, spirituality, or anything. Like I think what I ended up doing and not meaning to is I made him my higher power. And that's
interesting.
way too much fucking pressure.
Yeah,
put
well,
on.
and a bit codependent.
You think?
Right.
But like it was like right off the bat, he was like, "Okay, like you got to go to therapy."
Yeah.
And I'm like, anything to continue to enjoy this ride with you.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
And so it was like.
Kind of needy, but sweet.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he got me into therapy, and then I still didn't really identify. Like I knew I had a problem, but like I didn't know why. I didn't know where it came from. And then I started like really fucking up with the food and losing a lot of weight. And I was like, I learned later, like it's still just a passive form of suicide. And it's like one of those suicides that's admirable because it's like people will be like, well, she tried so hard.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
no. And, like he put me through treatment a few times sober for my eating disorder.
Okay.
And it took a few times and a lot of therapy, but I was able to finally like find a higher power of my own understanding that wasn't human.
Right.
And
was it just bulimia or was it anorexia or what was it?
it was both.
Okay.
And also too like undiagnosed mental illness for years.
Yeah.
I think that little 9-year-old girl that wrote that fucked up shit in her journal.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be an excellent drug user when I grow up.
I can relate to like being a kid and I didn't write a journal, right? But my parents, I had like a boombox, right, with a cassette tape.
Oh, no.
And I just one night in the middle of the night, I don't know what it was, dude, but I went through the entire dictionary of cuss words and just recorded my voice onto it. And I was like, fuck, shit, pussy. And my dad fucking finds it when I'm at school. I've never told this story before.
Okay.
And then I come back home. He's like, what is fucking wrong with you? And I'm like 6 years old. I have this mixtape of cuss words. It's like 20 minutes long, dude. Just me saying it over and over and over.
Okay.
Yeah, it should have been a sign. Thanks, parents, for not fucking checking me out treatment earlier.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing, Chad.
Yeah, I don't know. She said the diary thing and then like hiding
Chad
it. My shit got caught.
I
dude.
love that.
Chad,
Like I think that's like a definite thing that a lot of us do have in common is like these like weird things that we would do. And
all right.
that sparked one in me. Like I think it was like 5 years sober, and I got logged into like an old email because I was trying to find a resume or something. And then I had notes saved, and I was like, ooh. And I was so strung out that, like, I believed that I was, like, cracking Da Vinci's Code, right?
Oh,
and so,
hell
like,
yeah. I love that.
there would be just, like, sequences of numbers, and then be, like, that person, left, right, blue, green, up, down. Like, just, like, these, like, weird...
No, this like binary code. Like ones and zeros
Yeah.
everywhere.
And I'd be like, these numbers are talking to me. Like,
Oh,
just, like-
wow.
and
That's
I'm like,
good stuff.
But like again, like when I finally like came out to like all my friends and family as a drug addict, they're like, "We just thought you were funny,
Right?
we just thought you had a really good personality." And I was like, "It's prescribed."
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I love doing the weird shit.
Hell
for
yeah.
sure.
Right, for sure.
I think I'm gonna make a cuss word remix tape myself.
Right? We used to do fart tapes, dude. Me and my friends. Oh yeah, no,
does
it was
not
the
surprise me
It
at
was
all.
the greatest. Yeah.
It doesn't surprise
It
me
was
at
the
all.
greatest.
And you told me that story. You
Which
always tell this story.
Which one?
About how you took a basketball card or baseball card and you just stuck it in some dog shit on the sidewalk and just left it there.
Oh yeah, we did that. Like it was hilarious. It was just random. I mean, it was an impressive like dog movement, and I was just like, I just had them, and I go, dude, how random is this going to be if I just go over and put an introduction, and I just want to know what possibly could go on.
He has fucking told me
in
this story
everybody.
like
No,
20
but I
times.
just want to know the person that found it. What they were like, what
You know
the
what?
fuck is this?
They probably weren't an addict, and they probably were just like, "The fuck is this trash?" And just
Right.
like walked off. But
Right.
to you, it was this profound thing. You know?
It was just made me laugh hysterically and just die
Just walking
laughing.
down the
Just
street.
knowing that somebody's gonna walk on that and find that randomness.
The person's like, wow, that dog's digestive system's real fucked up. That card
Right.
looks like it's in mint condition.
Right? Corners are sharp and everything.
You're gonna end up at like a fair someday that has like vintage cards, and it's gonna have one that's like preserved in shit. And it's gonna be like,
Right? Just the edge of it. Oh, that card's a little brown.
yeah.
Anyway.
But I'm grateful to be sober. I'm grateful to have had somebody, put some like time.
Well, you had a support unit with Andrew. It sounds like
I-
it sounds like the right person kind of came in your life, and he might have been a little knight in shining armor.
He was. I in our vows, I said, I try, like, again, I love writing, especially when I'm not trying to crack Da Vinci's code, but I wrote, like, I just kept writing, and then I just kept coming back to, like loving you saved my life.
Yeah.
And loving him also unlocked me loving me.
Mm-hmm.
And also me having a relationship with a higher power and friends, like I'm not isolated anymore. Like I have a life. He has his own life, we do things together. Like, and then, it took me a while to like come around to like AA and
Sure.
CA and stuff like that. And now, like, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, too, like, talking to a therapist about everything for, like, they're just kind of, like, unaffected by anything that you say. But, like, it's nice, like, when you're in a group with a bunch of, like, sick people that are just trying to get better and you, like, say something. Like, I put a baseball card in a pile of shit. And
It was a
they're just like,
basketball card.
Basketball.
Yeah,
Sorry. Very different. Very different. And, like, it's just, like, you can all laugh and, think about, like, the stuff.
Just the craziness. Well,
Yeah.
I just enjoyed, like, Chad's craziness all the time. And then but then you, like, I'm going to try on your clothes and jump out your second floor window. I mean, I love it, dude.
I know. And then,
Only in covery.
Only in covery. The only thing I don't understand is, like, I go back and I look at these events and I look at people like I was like side by side with in life, and I'm like, did you not have like any idea?
You had no idea
And they're-
what was going on.
They're like, no, you're like pretty put together.
That's the definition of a fucking actress right there, man.
Right.
Exactly.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, so okay, so like if somebody is out there and they're struggling, what would you give for as far as advice to somebody that is sober curious
And wanting to join the covery.
and wanting to be part of covery?
You think you want to be in covery?
I don't know if you want to be in covery.
I don't know if you got what it takes to cover.
It's like that. What is that? What is that one about the cocaine? Cocaine, man, you don't want none of this.
You don't want none of
It turns
this.
all your bad feelings into good feelings. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
It's like one of those things, like, if someone would have tried to, like, intervene in my adventure anywhere and been like, you have a drug problem, I'd be like, no, I don't.
Right.
My problem is I don't have enough. you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, people who are sober curious and they're kind of, like, seeing people and stuff, it's like, I always think, like, there's nothing wrong with just taking a break, and, don't even give yourself a timeline, because if you are an alcoholic, like, that ain't gonna work for you.
Right.
But, just being like, today I'm not going to drink, and just, like, see.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe during that day, to help you get through the day, you can be like, I'll just drink tomorrow.
Right.
Like, there's
If you
ways-
can't make it a week, you might have a problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it's like, I think also, too, like, there's people who become alcoholics later in life. I think that,
Hi.
yeah.
Right.
I've known plenty of people, like in the program, that they they never really even drank. And then one day, it was like everything changed. And I was just like, I knew I was always fucked up, you know, and not everyone is like that. And the person that is thinking that they might have a drinking problem because they like to drink 2 wine spritzers a day, if it feels wrong and you're asking yourself, I don't think I like this, it's like you might have a problem. It's always like, you know, I joke, like when you need to ask your sponsor something, it's like you already fucking know the answer.
Right.
You know, like that's why we have, you know, people is like to keep us accountable. But it's like such a self exploration journey. Yet like we're a we program. So it's like we have people to lean off of and, you know, get help from and advice from, or just have people listen to us. But like as far as like being like sober curious, it's like just don't drink today, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like if your life sucks, it probably will. Like mine, like I hurt so bad, you know, because I wasn't willing to replace it with anything other than more pain.
Right. Well, it sounds like you weren't really unpacking all the bags that you had, even as a 9-year-old, you know, or whatever was going on. But then the PTSD from the event and everything like that, I mean, it would just compound. And I mean, yeah, I get it.
I just think it's like just try it today.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
I used to think that was cliche and that would piss me off. And they're like, just for today. Just recovery just today.
There we go.
But
Bumper
things-
sticker,
things are-
shirt,
Things are
recovery.
fucking cliche because they work.
I
Yeah.
know.
And it's like, I never wanted to be cliche and I never wanted to say half the shit that I say, but because I'm like, no, fuck that, dude. I'm different. I'm terribly unique. Exactly. Right. And it's
Exactly.
like, no, dude, they've been doing this shit for thousands of years, man. They
Right.
just wrote a book about it in the fucking 30s.
Right.
Right.
And everything we know is kind of based on stuff that they figured out.
Right.
Like it is, whether it's God or whatever, it's like it's something up here, dude. It's like a psychic change. Like your entire fucking being has to
I
change.
think I've read that somewhere before.
Yeah,
Chip.
you don't. You asked me what the goddamn steps were last night. You're like, what's 1, 2, and 3 again?
So you're making fun of me
Hell yeah,
because
I
I
am,
don't
dude.
have the steps memorized like you?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, wow. That's hilarious, dude. That's hilarious. Yeah. Great.
I always think like the interesting thing about like AA, it's like it's funny because like everyone goes in. I think for the most part, I don't want to speak for everyone. Like,
Okay.
And you're just like, this is a cult.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
It's
when
badass.
I first kind of went in, I was like, you know, the secret handshake and the door knock, and you know, there's going to be all kinds. What is this? Traditions? 12 traditions, dude? It sounds kind of culty.
Yeah. You want my money?
Yeah,
You know,
right?
like
You want my money and you want to all chant stuff together and hold hands while we do it?
All right.
And read something from a book every single time?
Yeah.
but that I
And
mean,
read incantations.
I have this theory
Right.
that, like, you know, like there's that part in the book, like where he has that spiritual experience in the hospital where he's like, the feeling came over me and it was profound and like God was there, you know, and you know, and then it's like, you know, you go to the appendix and it's like spiritual experiences are usually like this. They can be of the educational variety, yada yada. But it's like that really wasn't like one of those burning bush moments if you think about it. I don't think any of the spiritual experiences described in the big book are a burning bush moment. I think men are dramatic. Hear me out.
Okay.
So I think that
I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
you need an apple. You're hungry.
I'll take a piku.
But like I think that it kind of gets people like excited about like the what if like and the possibility of like having this like holy moment. But what's interesting is I really do think that spiritual experiences are what you make them. And I think that I could just see like the number. So like being a tweaker, like I still see numbers and I use that now as a form of like my higher power is like, yeah, you're on the right path. So it's like I could just see, like oh, it's 444, and then it just be a
Is there any
coincidence.
specific number so now we can mess with you?
Yeah, 444-555-666.
Oh, okay. So
Hey,
any
hey,
repeating numbers?
My fucking credit score for like a week last week, because I'm rebuilding my life, man. It was 666, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Fuck yeah, dude,
You're
that's metal as
rad,
fuck."
Chad.
Yeah, but now it's higher, and I want to knock it back down.
But no, seriously, like it is what you make it,
Right.
and so it's like
I'm just gonna start doing it like a little, like
text
Andrew's
me.
like DJ gig. I'm like, oh, I know she's gonna be here. I'm gonna write 333 right here, really small,
But, like-
and then just go like this. Hey Taylor, and then just point over there.
it helped me like
Right.
formulate my relationship with a higher power, because like I could choose to look at things as a coincidence, or I could get excited about them,
Right.
Yeah.
and so
It's all like how you perceive it. Yeah.
yes, and it's it's taken a long time,
Right.
and
Well, it sounds like you've done a lot of work, and I think that the therapy has probably played a huge part in your recovery as well, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Having a healthy partner that does his shit, keeps his side of the street clean, me working on myself, me keeping jobs, things like that, helping others, and just like being present and just like enjoying the day to day. Like,
Right.
life is pretty fucking cool.
Well,
Hell yeah, it is.
I love it. It's kind of cool to like see you and then Andrew and then me and Chet. Like whenever I see you in the club, I'm like, oh, cool. Hey, somebody else is drinking water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's funny is like people always like look at Andrew and they see him like now and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, he's so like normal
Yeah.
and like kind and calm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I was like the batshit crazy one, right?
Right.
And I'm like, but you know what that says about him is he's even crazier than I am. That he
Yeah.
wouldn't
Yeah.
take- he
Oh,
wouldn't
I knew Andrew back in the glory days.
I
So,
know.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the stories because I hear them and I'm just like,
Oh, dude.
not Andrew.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, Andrew always had it, dude. He always had it, dude.
I know.
It was he was always prepared. But anyway,
We would have, if Andrew and I would have met we probably would have,
you would have done all the drugs.
I-
We would have exploded.
we'd revisited it and like how he partied and how I partied.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
We probably would have not liked each other.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been competition for the drugs.
Clash of
Yeah.
the Titans.
I'd be
Right.
like, what bag?
All right.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, cool. Well, I want to wrap it up, but I want to thank you for coming out, making the journey from Fort Worth. And then also want to give you a chance to shout out anybody you'd like to shout out.
Definitely Andrew. Our dogs, especially Memphis. He is fighting cancer right now.
Oh, Memphis.
And basically anyone in the program and anyone that's trying to get better,
Right. Okay. And shout out Mom.
Shout out Mom.
There we go. Love it. Well, thanks again for coming on, Chadwick. As always, thank you for coming out
Yeah.
and being a part of my coverage.
Yeah, man. Hi.
And thank you for
Coverage.
outing me.
Covery on 3.
Yeah, right?
1, 2, 3.
Coverage. And thank you for outing my story about NBA
dog
cards
shit?
and dog shit.
That
Yeah.
shit's fucking.
It's going in my book.
It's
That's
going in my
gold, dude.
journal. Yeah, it is. It is actually.
So you
gold.
know how you always say your wise words at the end of the like don't blah 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 because you take too many.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have Morgan Freeman's gonna say. Some
Oh,
wise
go
words.
ahead if you'd like to.
Hold on. Let me.
If you'd like to say my dumb
No,
words
I
as
need-
Morgan Freeman, please.
Oh, dude, no, I got it. Self-awareness leads to self-reflection, which leads to the best version of ourselves. That was good, dude.
Okay. All right.
That was good.
Well,
Because
remember, kids.
she was talking about being self-aware and all that
Gotcha.
stuff. And
There is no magic pill for sobriety because if there was, we would all take too many.